Hello, everybody. Hello. How are you today? I am doing well today. So, my name is Teacher Nick, and I am going to teach you today some English, and we are going to talk today in English about Buckingham Palace. That's right, Buckingham Palace. How many of you have heard of Buckingham Palace before? Okay, some of you. Where is Buckingham Palace? Do we know? Well, let's find out today where Buckingham Palace is. So today some vocabulary we will learn has to do with a king and a queen. Yes, a queen. And a king and a queen wear a crown on their head, and they live in a palace. And also we will learn about the past and take a tour. So these are the words we will learn today: king, queen, crown, palace, past, tour. So let's see what else we can say here. So here we are in the classroom. Today we go on a field trip to Buckingham Palace. How many of you have been on a field trip with your school? I have. Yes, going on a field trip with school is always lots of fun. So let's see what a field trip to Buckingham Palace looks like. So, Buckingham Palace is a famous building in London. Do any of you know where London is? Where is London? London is in England. And do you know what language they speak in London? Yes, that's right. They speak English. So let's learn how to speak English at Buckingham Palace. So, did you go on a field trip? You can go on many different field trips with your school. I have been on many field trips with my school. You can go on a field trip with a bus. Here's a school bus here that you can go on a field trip with. You could go on a field trip to the zoo. Do you like to go on a field trip to the zoo? You can see all of the animals at the zoo. You can see monkeys going like that. You could see birds, all kinds of birds. They will make all kinds of whistling noises. And you could see lions at the zoo too. What does the lion say? Rawr, lion. And also, you can see many other animals at the zoo if you take a field trip to the zoo. But also, you could go to the amusement park and go on a roller coaster. Right? And sometimes you can go on a field trip to a museum. And you can learn about so many things. You could go to a museum and learn about history. You can go to a museum and learn about art, or even animals too. You can learn so many things at a museum. So it can be a very fun field trip. to take. But today, our field trip, though, is to Buckingham Palace. So now let's look at our vocabulary. Let's learn. So say these words out loud. When I say the word, you say the word. King. Let me hear you say. King. That's right. This is the king. Yes, the king. He is the ruler. He is the ruler of the kingdom. Yes, he is the king. And then here we have queen. Let me hear you say, queen. Yes, that's right. She is the queen. The queen is also the ruler of the kingdom. So the king and the queen rule the kingdom. They are the most powerful people in the kingdom. So the king and the queen, they are the boss. All right? So let's see what other words we can learn here today. We've got our king and our queen. And then crown. Crown. Let me hear you say. Yes, crown. So these are crowns. There are many different kinds of crowns. So which crown is your favorite crown? Which crown do you like the most out of all the crowns here? I think I like, let's see. Which one do I like? I think I like, maybe this one here. This one here, because it's pointy. I like this crown. But which crown do you like? Do you like this one? Or maybe you like this one? Or maybe this one here? Or here? All of the crowns here are pretty cool, I think. But for me, I think I like this one. This one here. I think this one here. For me. If I was the king, I would wear that one. So a king and queen wears a crown. So where does the crown go? Yes, the crown goes on your head. So the king and queen wear a crown on their heads. But where do the king and queen live? Where do they live? The king and queen live in a palace. So the word here is palace. Let me hear you say palace. Palace. Yes, that's right. Very good. Do you live in a palace? Maybe no. But the king and queen live in a palace. And here is a palace. Buckingham Palace. The King of England lives in Buckingham Palace. The most famous palace in England. So now we have past. Let me hear you say past. Past. That's right. Past. Before. That's right. So let's go ahead and go down to our next word, which is tour. Tour. Let me hear you say tour. That's right. Good. Very, very good. Tour. So you can take a tour of a palace or a museum or any place that you go on a field trip. When you go on a field trip, you can take a tour of the place that you visit when you go on a field trip. Yeah. So, how many of you like to take a tour? I like to take a tour. I think taking a tour is a lot of fun. So let's take a tour of our next slides. So, more vocabulary. Let's practice now. Let's practice the vocabulary. Use the numbers to label the picture. So let's see here. We have our king. So king is right here. So we put number 1 here for king because he is the king right there, right? That's right. What about the queen? Where is the queen? If the king is there, where is the queen? Yes, that's right. The queen right here, number 2. Here is the queen. Very, very good. So, and actually, I'm going to fix the labels a little bit. So, the king and queen. So number 2. So the queen is right here. And then the king, number 1, the king, who's right here. And then what about the palace? Where is the palace? I think the palace, so the palace is right up here. That's right, number 3 is the palace. The palace is all of this whole building that's right here behind the king and queen. Palace. So, what about the crowns? Where are their crowns? All right, the crowns right here on their heads. So, crowns right here. Here and here. So number 4 would be right here. Number 4, because the crowns are on their heads. And then number 1 is the king down here. Number 2, the queen down here. So there we go. So there's your king, number 1, and queen, number 2, palace, number 3, and crowns, number 4. Good? How are we doing so far? Good? All right. Well, let's see now. What do we have next? Now we can circle things from the past. What are some things that were before today? Well, we have this. Okay. This is from the past. Maybe we have this. Yes. He is from the past. He is an old warrior from the past times. And maybe here. Okay. The pyramids are from the past. Yes, they were built a very long time ago. So there we go. 3 things to circle from the past. Is this from the past? This robot? No, that's right. It's not from the past. The robot is from the future. What about these space cars here? No, right? No, that's from the future too. Because the past is before. The future has not happened yet. So we need to see the things from the past. So past, past, past. There we go. All right, so let's see now. What else do we have here? Where do you want to go on tour? Do you want to go to an art museum? Who wants to go to an art museum? Raise your hand. Okay, good. What about a planetarium? Ooh, planetarium. That sounds pretty cool. Raise your hand if you want to go to a planetarium. Okay. All right, very good. Well, what about a dinosaur museum? Do you want to go to a dinosaur museum? Raise your hand. Okay. Well, I think I want to go to all of these places. I want to go to all of these places on tour. I would like to go to an art museum and look at the art. The planetarium is really cool. I think that is the most fun out of all of these. And then the dinosaur museum is really cool too. You can see how big the dinosaur. Look how big that dinosaur is. Look how little the people are compared to this dinosaur. Wow. Dinosaurs were really, really big, weren't they? Yeah. So, all right. What are some other places that we can go on a tour? We can go on a tour in a palace. That's right. In Buckingham Palace. Yes. We could also go on tour in a city, and we can visit an old city and go on a tour there. Yes. So many places we could go on a tour. Yeah. It's really fun to go on tour. I can go on a tour in many places. So now let's read out loud together. So I will read and then you read along with me. Listen and then read after me. Today we go to Buckingham Palace. Now let me hear you say, today we go to Buckingham Palace. Good. Who lives in Buckingham Palace? Good. The royal family lives in Buckingham Palace. Good. I hope we see their crowns. Good. Very, very good. I hope we see their crowns too. That would be really cool to see their crowns. So, story time. The Palace Tour. Today, Daisy's class goes on a tour of Buckingham Palace. So we can see, Buckingham Palace. Do any of you remember where Buckingham Palace is? Yes, that's right. Buckingham Palace is in London. And London, where is London? Is it in Turkey? No, it's not in Turkey, right? No, London is in England. And what do they speak in England? English. So, yes, Buckingham Palace. And here is the English flag here, and here is Buckingham Palace. It's a very big palace, isn't it? Yeah, very, very big. So, Buckingham Palace, let's read now together. Buckingham Palace is the London home of the British king or queen. And there they are, right here. There's the British king and queen right there. So Britain, which England is a part of, has a king. Do any of you know what the king's name is? So the King of England's name is Charles. He is King Charles. So when he is in London, he is at Buckingham Palace, because Buckingham Palace is the London home of the British king or queen. Yes, and here they are right here. See? Very, very good. Have any of you ever seen a king or a queen? All right. So, who lives at Buckingham Palace? Can anybody tell me who lives at Buckingham Palace? That's right. The king or queen. That's right. And at Buckingham Palace, it's the British king or queen. Yes, that's right. So let's look now at the palace tour. In the past, it was a house. Now it's a palace with over 700 rooms. 700 rooms. That's a lot of rooms, isn't it? Yeah. How many rooms do you have in your house? Maybe not 700, right? Yes. 700 is so many rooms. So many rooms in the palace. It's a very, very big house. That's why the king and queen live there, because the king and queen must have the biggest and nicest house. Yes. So, what was Buckingham Palace in the past? Was it a palace also in the past? No. Was it a school? No. Was it a building? Like a work building? No. Nope, that's right. It was... Who said it? Yep. That's right. It was a house. Right? As we said it right here. In the past, it was a house with over 700 rooms. So many rooms, yes. So that's the answer to what was Buckingham Palace in the past? It was a house. Yes. Very, very big house. Yes. They visit many rooms and see many famous paintings. Yes. So now let's read it together again a little more slowly. They visit many rooms and see many famous paintings. Yes. How many of you have seen a famous painting? Or any painting? How many of you have seen a painting? Okay, good. Some of you. Did the painting look like this? Or like this? Or maybe you have a painting in your house? Maybe you made the painting? Many people have paintings in their house. But in the palace, oops, sorry about that. Here we go. But in the palace, they have big rooms and big paintings, especially big paintings of all of the past kings and queens. So, how many of you want to live in a palace now? Okay. Some yes, some no. Me, I don't know. I think a palace is too big to live in. It's nice to see, but maybe too big to live. How many of you have been to a palace? There are many palaces around the world. Yes. I have visited some palaces, and I have seen Buckingham Palace from the outside. Yeah. And now let's read together here. They learn all about the past kings and queens of the United Kingdom. Yes, the United Kingdom has a long history. If you go in the past, you can go many years in the past in the United Kingdom and see so many different kings and queens for hundreds and hundreds of years. So there have been so many kings and queens. So if you go to Buckingham Palace, you can learn about all of the past kings and queens of the United Kingdom. Yes. Now let's read here together. Guards protect the palace. Before they leave, Daisy's class watches the changing of the guard. Yes. So where are the guards? Can you find the guards on this picture for me? Circle the guards. Yes. Here they are. Here's one, and here's a guard. And here's a guard over here too. And one here too. What about here? Are they guards? No, of course not. No, they're not guards. They're kids who are watching the guards. Yes. So here's the two guards. Here's the two guards that are on duty, that are working right now. But they have to change, right? They can't stand there all the time. So here come the other ones. So now they will walk, they will walk over. And this one will go here. And then they will change. That's right. So it's a whole process. They do a very, very, very special kind of change. When they change the guards, they have to do certain steps, and they have to do it in a certain way that some people might find a little strange. So if you go to Buckingham Palace, make sure that you watch the changing of the guards. And the guards are always there to protect the palace. Always, right? So, great job! So today you learned a lot of new vocabulary and things that have to do with kings and queens and palaces and field trips and tours to palaces. So really, really cool. Today you learned what a king is. You learned about the king. And you also learned about the queen, right? And you also learned that kings and queens wear a crown on their heads. Do any of you have a crown? Maybe you have a toy crown, right? I bet it's not a real crown, though. A real crown is very, very, very expensive. Maybe you have a toy crown, right? Yeah. So you also learned palace, which is where the king and queen live, right? And other people in the royal family live there too. So the palace is where the royal family lives. You also learned past, meaning the time before now, right? You learned about the past, and you learned about tour. So now you know what king, queen, crown, palace, past, and tour mean. And now, when you take a tour of a palace, you can say in English that this is a palace where the king and queen live. That's right, where the king and queen live. And you can say that the king and queen wear a crown on their head. And that in the past, there were many other kings and queens in the past before now. So very, very good, very exciting. So that is the end of our lesson for today. You all did a very fantastic job following along with this lesson. I hope that you all have a wonderful evening. Enjoy yourself. Make sure you have a day that is fit for a king and a queen. And I will see you next time. Bye.